Okay, it's a new day for the project here. One night during the week I got the jamb extensions, my experimental jamb extensions we'll call it. I wanted to do a test and see how it came out. Came out pretty good, extends it out to the face here. So I still have to make the trim that's going to go around the door all the way and then around everything else. It's really hot out today, it's about 90 degrees. But I need to just break down and do this. I have to take more of this wood and bring it outside and thickness plane it because I only have a few boards left here. And I also need to come up with an idea for how I'm going to manufacture my window sills. And I have a couple boards in the stack here that are a little bit on thicker side. When I milled these about 3/4, maybe 5/8 to 3/4. I have a couple that are closer to 1 inch, and I believe I have enough of the thicker material because I'd like to use the windowsill material. I'd like to be 1 inch or 3/4 on the bottom. The trim that goes around the outside, that can be the 5/8 thick stuff. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to set up everything outside again and start thickness plating the thick boards first, and then while I have it set up, I'll run, a bunch more of the thinner boards through, just so I have more stock for making all the trim, because I'm going to need quite a bit of trim. Unfortunately, the width here is 5 feet and the height here is 4'6", I believe. So what ends up happening is my boards are 9 feet long, so each piece of trim and jamb extension needs to be cut out of a full 9-foot piece. So that's the way it goes. I still have plenty enough wood to do it, just I'm going to have to plane a lot more. All right, I'm going to get everything set up, and I'll bring you back when I get a little bit more done. Spent some time yesterday working on this window trim here. It took a little bit. I prepped a lot of material, so I ran a ton of boards back through the planer to make the stock to decide what I was going to do with this. So I started out, I made the sill first. So this was 3.5 inches. I did a little bit of a round over edge on it with the router, and then I just lightly sanded the bottom edge. And then after I did this part, I've made my inside jamb extension pieces here, and for the top, coming across and down the other side. Then the final step was creating the actual trim itself. I wanted it to just kind of look pretty plain. I didn't really want any ornate stuff, so it's just lightly rounded over on the edges. This is going to get primed and painted, so I wasn't super worried about if I had any small deviations, because I'll be able to caulk this and use a little wood filler here and there. So this is what I come up with. Pretty happy with how it looks. I have the bottom board down there. It just looks clean and nice. It doesn't protrude out too far from the wall either. So the rest of the afternoon, after I figured this all out, this took a good amount of time. I broke the stock down into smaller pieces, so it'll be easier to manage when I go and do the rest of the windows. So I have, down here, I have my sill plate cut, and then over here, I have 2 different length pieces. This is just stock that's ripped to 2.5 inches thick to recreate these moldings around for the other windows. And now I just wrapped up, I just got these ones ready. These ones are ripped clean on one side and rough on the other side. These ones will get used up for building out the jamb extensions. And I'll show you this in a little bit, but when you put the jamb extension in, I have a protruding out pass, I scribe a line, and then I run it through the table saw because nothing's perfect. So I will bring you along as I do this window, kind of show you a little bit of each step of how I went about doing this. Okay, I'm going to create the windowsill for this next window right now. so my window bottom opening is 60.5 inches. The total length from end to end here is 67.5. So what I'll do is I'll find the center of the board, and then I'll kind of work out from the center to find the where it needs to go. Okay, jigsaw worked really good for that. The first one I did, I used a circular saw and there was a lot of tear out, so the jigsaw did a nicer job. Okay, fits in there pretty nice. I don't see any major gaps because the caulk's going to fill between here. Looks pretty good. We've got a little clearance here, which is fine. Same thing over there, a little bit of clearance, which is fine. A lot of that clearance is coming from this center section here's bumped out a little bit, but I'm happy with it. So that part is done. Next thing I need to do, I'm going to lightly sand it and I'll route the face. All right, the face is rounded over nicely. I broke the bottom edge with the sander, gave everything a light sand, knocked down any high spots. So now she's ready to sit in here. Okay. So the next thing I need to do, before I actually attach this, what I did on the last one was I made sure that this is level and the reveal between the window and this is the same, even if it's a little out of level, as long as it looks, you know, right in the opening. Okay, that's perfectly level there with the one extra shim. The other thing I've been checking, just to make sure, I've been checking the, just kind of get an idea how square the sill is going to be to the window frame. That's actually pretty close. Might need a little bit of shimming, but not too shabby. Right, the next piece I'm going to work on is getting this top jamb extension in. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that this top jamb extension is parallel with this, and I'll also make sure it's square. So kind of building everything off of the window sill. So I have a piece here that I need to just cut to length, and then this will go inside up top. Okay, here's my line that I scribed onto the board, and as per my instructions from my carpenter friend, he said you're just going to line this up like you're shooting pool, and you're going to run the saw blade like freehand, run the saw blade right down the line. Okay, now that the sill and the top plate are in, I can make my side pieces. So it's going to be the same process I just did on the top. I'm going to basically cut my length off of a piece of stock, scribe my line, run it through the table saw, and make my left and right side jamb extension. All of my jamb extensions are now finished. They came out very good. I'm happy with it. So next thing is to do the trim. First thing that you have to do is set your reveal. The reveal is just like over here, how much of you're going to see the actual jamb extension versus the molding. So I take the combination square, I set it to my depth that I want, and then I'm going to make a couple marks on the new window here so I know where exactly the molding has to land. All right, now that they're marked, what I'm going to do is make my measurement for my length of the molding. So I'm going to go from the bottom of the sill to my mark there, 53 1/4. 53 3/16, so I'm within a 1/16 of an inch. So in this scenario, I'm going to kind of just split the difference. So we're just going to go with like 53 and 3/16. My molding's all prepped. Now I'm just going to throw one nail in the bottom so I have a little bit of adjustment. I have my marks lined up. I'll take a measurement of my top from edge to edge, but then I have to remember I want to leave 3/4 of an inch for my overhang reveal. So 3/4 inch on each side, so an additional 1.5 inches to whatever this lands to. All right, that completes the top. Now I just need to do one more piece of molding, which will go underneath my sill. So I'm going to get it set up for the undersill next. The undersill is going to be exactly the same as the top piece. And it should be the same at least. I'll double check. And that concludes how I chose to trim out these windows using the rough sawn ash lumber. Here's a close-up how it came out. I have a nice reveal going all the way around. I like this little detail, having them overhang a little bit instead of leaving them flush. I think it looks cooler like that. And I have the same detail down at the bottom to match. Really came out nice. I was sitting there last night thinking about it. Had I had to purchase all the lumber to do this, even in the cheaper stuff like a finger jointed pine, each one of these windows would cost about $100. So when I put that into perspective of what I had to do in prepping, going from a rough sawn board, you know, I did have to plane them down 3 times and rip them square, but really a couple hours of extra work to save $100 per window, I think it's really worth it. Plus, it's kind of neat that this all started out as a tree, and now I'm using this wood that otherwise was going to be firewood into something beautiful. All right, thanks for watching. I will be making another video when the job's all complete. I just wanted to break down showing you guys how I trimmed out a window. the next window and the next window and the doors are all going to be the same. So I'll bring you back when it's all done. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next video.